inauguration meeting for the Common Council for 2023 to 2024. All alderpersons are present, but we all don't stay present. So, please click your present button. Thank you. First item of business is, first item is pledge allegiance and silent prayer of in lieu of invocation. If you could please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. All right, so we are into oath of offices for alderpersons in districts 1, 3, 5, and 7. Congratulations on the re-elections, and congratulations to Jake for coming back. Clerk?
Do Matt and then do everybody else separately.
Okay, please raise your right hands and repeat after me. I, and then state your names,
I, Ryan Austin,
having been duly elected to serve as, and then state your district,
to serve as District 1 Alderman,
right, alderperson for the city of Wisconsin Rapids,
alderperson for the city of Wisconsin Rapids,
do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Wisconsin,
and of the state of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of said office
the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Next item is the election of the council, or common council president. Is there any nominations for common council president?
I'll nominate Dean Veneman.
Is there any other nominations for council president? Okay. Does anybody wish to make a motion to cast the unanimous consent ballot for Dean Veneman for council president? Yep, we can hold on. Her mouse is not mousing. Tyler, she's having difficulty. Okay. So does anybody wish to make a motion for unanimous consent for, so we have Dennis who's made your motion to make a unanimous consent ballot? Okay. And is there a second? A second by Austin. Please cast your ballots. That motion carried, 8 ayes, 0 nays. We are on to Mayor Blazer's appointment to the standing committees of Common Council. And I put them somewhere. All right, for my appointments for this year, to the Finance Committee, Jay Bemke, Matt Zacher, Dean Beneman. Public Works is Ryan Austin, Tom Rayom, and Dennis Pollock. And Human Resources is Jay Bemke, Patrick Delaney, and Jake Katna. So if you could get together with your committees and choose chairperson and I guess, is it secretary?
No,
Vice chair?
Vice chair.
And then once you have a chairperson elected, if the chairpersons could get together and choose the chairperson and vice of legislative committee. Have at it.
Tom, you want your chair back? Nope, I would nominate you. Okay, I just nominated Tom. Okay. And I can serve as secretary and then. That's fine. Vice chair. Okay, perfect. Who's gonna be? Everything, what about the lead?
Public Works?
Yes,
Okay, who's chair? And who's vice?
I am.
You want to talk about what day and time you want to meet?
What day's best for you, Ryan?
It was every Thursday at 5, the first Thursday at 5, I believe it was. But, Joe mentioned that him and another are on vacation, Tyler, or not vacation, but you're on a business deal.
Okay.
So, first Thursday is not possible for them to be here. I think it was the 5th or the 4th. I don't have.
And I think in the past it might have been
So maybe we.
okay, so yeah, first Thursday after the first Tuesday?
Yep.
So the first Thursday after the first Tuesday would be the, I mean, the first Thursday.
So Tyler and Joe are out.
Okay, would you want to make that your normal time and just reschedule the one at 9?
I'm okay with that.
What day are we looking at in May then? The fourth is
No.
So
Does
the
that
coming
does
meeting,
Tuesday work at all?
the first Tuesday?
So finance meets at 4, well, it has been.
Yeah. We're gonna continue that.
You are, okay. Can you tell me who the chair and the vice are?
Matt's the chair and I'm vice.
Chair and vice, okay? And you're the first Tuesday at 4.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys can.
I don't know if that works. First Tuesday or second Tuesday or second Thursday?
Second Tuesday, we probably work at council chambers is available.
Second and third Tuesdays, it's not good. Second and third Tuesdays, it's not good.
What about
You
the
can meet
second?
earlier, you can meet earlier on a Tuesday or later, you can meet like a 2 o'clock or a 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, on the first Tuesday. You could do Thursdays, but you just can't do this one in May. You just have to pick a different one for May, but if you want to keep it on Thursdays, you can do
We
that.
wanna go after finance on Tuesday.
You might get.
They've been fairly quick lately.
But Tom's been around and all the finance for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably
We're
more.
not working him.
Must have met. What do they mean?
Council chamber. Yeah, you can do different ones. Yeah.
Tuesday one, yeah.
Probably the second Tuesday. Couple extra days.
You guys can let me know. You can, meet with Joe.
Is that the date that you're gonna go all year with them, the 17th?
Just this month.
Probably that first one. Find out when
Go
Joe
back
and them
to-
are here too, make sure everybody can. Probably just in May to start with. Then we'll probably go back to April.
Yeah. We're looking at 5 o'clock again?
Yep.
Okay, good deal.
Legislative Jay and Matt and Tom. Ryan, are you gonna let me know?
Probably would.
Tom's got it, it's the second, or the first Tuesday at, in the council room, right? Or the conference
In
room.
the conference room, first Tuesday?
Yep, 5 o'clock, I believe.
All right. Got it.
Before we leave.
All of it.
Right now.
Oh.
I was ready to yield.
Why?
Ready for something different,
Okay.
different perspective. What?
I like to where you work.
Yeah. It'll be all right.
Well, I know. It's fine.
I'm gonna be very busy for the next couple of years.
What's happening in the next couple of years?
Project that's,
No.
consume a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Just wanna be sure that we're doing it.
Yeah. Well, you know,
What date are we?
I'm kind of scared because I find myself agreeing with them all the time. So I'm kind of scared about my politics. Lately, I've been agreeing with them too much. No, he says he's got a lot of great points. Sometimes it takes a long time to get through.
Who wants to be chair of legislative?
But I said, I got hope.
Who is?
I mean, he's
Yeah. Well, that's hope. He's been doing this for a while.
Who's vice? You want to be vice chair? Okay, got it. Ryan, doing it in the conference room at the same time as finance, so obviously they can only broadcast one at a time.
I thought finance was in here.
It is, but they can only do one, they can only broadcast one. So, you guys can get with Joe and let me know if you want.
Are the chambers open on Thursdays, the second Thursday?
No, wait. Yeah, I think it is.
That's probably the next option, I would guess,
Yeah.
talk to Tom. Thursday at 5.
Is it just that one?
Are you
meeting
gonna be on the
that-
planning
Yeah,
commission?
then it'll be back to the first Thursday, as long as everybody in the committee
So,
is
shall I
agreeable.
put it down as the first Thursday except for the main meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So, the Thursday after the first Tuesday or the
Correct.
first Thursday?
Correct.
Do you want to be on planning again?
I do plan on being.
Ryan, what's
Huh?
that deal?
Yeah. 5.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Would you like me to nominate you?
Sure.
That's the next item on the agenda.
So we don't have a regular time? No. Okay, got it. All righty. Okay, so this would be chairperson, right? We just did that one.
So clerk, could you read off who are committee officers?
For Finance and Property Committee, the chairperson is Matt Zacher, and the vice chair is Dean Veneman. They will be meeting the first Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock. Public Works, the chairperson is Tom Rayom, and the vice chairperson is Ryan Austin. They will meet the Thursday after the first Tuesday of each month at 5 o'clock, except for the May meeting. That one needs to be on a different date to be determined. Human Resources, chairperson is Jay Bemke, vice chair is Jay Katna, and they are meeting at, that's to be determined. Okay? Legislative Committee, the chairperson is Jay Bemke, the vice chair is Tom Rayom, and they are meeting also to be determined. Okay.
Thank you. We're on to item 8, election of an alderperson to the Plan Commission to serve a term expiring April 15th, 2024.
Oops. I nominate Ryan Austin.
Any other nominations for, would you accept?
Yes, I accept.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to ask that of Dean before.
Ready to go back?
No, we can't go back either. Is there any other nominations for the Plan Commission? Mr. Veneman, what's your, you don't need to make a motion, but, or unless you want to make a motion to
Unanimous.
this consent.
Yeah, that's, I'll leave, since I hit my motion button by accident, we'll leave it up there.
Sounds good, thank you. And we have a second by Mr. Zacher. Please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Congratulations. Item 9, we do not need to take up because Mr. Veneman is in his current term of office for Park and Rec Commission. Item 10 is consider for confirmation Mayor Blair's appointment to various committees, commission, boards. See attachment 1. I reappointing Alex Hewitt to the Board of Review. A reappointment of Joanne Grody to the Housing Authority. An appointment or reappointment of Mr. Ryan Austin to the Library Board. Chris Bartek and Tom Rayom for reappointment. Well, Chris Bartek's a reappointment, and Tom Rayom's the mayor's appointment to the Park and Rec Commission. And Jeff Marutz is a newly appointed member to the Plan Commission, replacing Susan Feith. Mr. Katna.
Thank you. So, Tom, with you being the nomination by the mayor for this, I just wanted to bring up a couple things in this public forum. I can't seem to find myself on the Park and Recs Commission, but I'll keep sending things your way. The first one is, and I think it's a well-known issue, especially if you've been following it, is the security and safety at the skate park. So there will be a referral coming from me on that. And then the other one would be the one that you guys all heard about when I was on council in regards to the aquatic center and different issues with that. So I hope you do a good job. I'll be sending some referrals your way.
We have a motion by Zacher. Is that to confirm them? And we have a second by Mr. Katna. Please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Item 11, presentation of the annual report for the Community Development Department. Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I need to apologize. There was not a report that was issued in 2021, so you'll find that the report before you tonight is for both years, 2021 and 2022. Back in 2021, we were implementing a software update in February and March, and so that was a top priority. So the numbers, the report's a little bit larger, and the numbers reflect that of 2 years rather than one. There was a report in 2020 as well, in the event that you do want to compare some numbers in 2020. I believe with regards to permit data and code enforcement data, I referenced 2018 and 2019 as well. So you can kind of get a picture of a 4 to 5 year period about how development has occurred and how we've been affected by the pandemic. Tonight, I just want to take any brief questions you may have and obviously invite you to communicate via email, phone, or an office visit to discuss things in further detail. But right now, I'll just summarize the report. You'll find that the first section, economic development, summarizes the major development projects. This is not all-inclusive, but it summarizes them, provides a few pictures, and gives an understanding of kind of what the focus has been the last couple of years, as well as additional economic development initiatives. Moving on to the second section is permit data. And again, we're showing 2020, 21, and 22 figures. The thing I want to stress here is that, again, 2020 commercial permit data was basically flat because of the pandemic. And you'll see that with regards to total value, total fees, and number of permits. We're seeing kind of a trend that's more reminiscent of 2018 and 2019. And hopefully we'll continue to see that with some future growth in 2023, primarily as it relates to commercial development. I also note, again, that MyGov software update that allows us to be a little more efficient, offers a portal to customers, an online portal, and allows us to document things a little bit better, inspections and so forth. We also, for the last couple of years, have been trying to disseminate information to the public much better through fact sheets and through our online website. Moving on to the next section, you'll find planning and zoning numbers. This is in regards to total planning and zoning requests that we receive, whether it's items going to Plan Commission or the Zoning Board of Appeals. Again, those are summarized for the last 3 years. And then you'll see several projects, the first one being the Recovery and Redevelopment Plan for the paper mill, which should be wrapping up in 2023, and several other initiatives, planning initiatives that we've taken on the last 2 years. The last section of the annual report is code enforcement data. We've just included the last 2 years. This is pretty consistent over time. Sometimes things become more of a priority from year to year, but we typically average about 1,000 cases. But mostly property maintenance stuff and less of the building side of code enforcement. And then obviously cited some other projects, again, one being Citizens Guide to Code Enforcement to help educate the public on some of the city's most concerning codes as a homeowner or a tenant in a rental. With that being said, again, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the report or the content within the report, and invite you to reach out to our office if you want to discuss things in further detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Delaney.
Last year, we learned that the past 9 out of 10 years, Wisconsin Rapids has not even come close to net new construction. We haven't even come close to the state average. The 1 year that we did was when Metalco came in. On here, on page 7, you have residential and commercial permits. So has community development surpassed state average net new construction in 2022? And if so, by how much?
You're asking for a number on 2023?
No, for 2022, because here you show 2022, and it looks like there's a pretty big jump from 2020, 2021, and then 2022.
Correct. Yep, you're looking at total value of $47 million. But I do want to stress that if you read further, a lot of that value is identified in institutional or governmental projects. So those are tax exempt. So while it is considered new growth, much of that is occurring within the school district projects or the the county courthouse project. So it's the way value is captured or identified in the system doesn't necessarily mean all of it is taxable value, if that makes sense. Or
Okay.
the same value that's reported by the assessor's office to the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Those numbers do not mirror one another.
So for 2022, we're still not even close to state average for net new construction.
You'd have to describe to me what the state average is. I'm not sure what that is off.
State average is normally about 1.6%.
Of our assessed value, or,
It's for net new construction.
so these, I don't think, the numbers that you're referencing are reported, I believe, by the assessor's office, net new construction. These numbers come directly out of our system, which is MyGov, which it basically is a repository for everything we intake from a permit application. So in the field, things might change because the assessor is assessing things different. The values that we're showing are based off of applications that people are submitting. So if a homeowner says, I'm doing a kitchen remodel and it costs $20,000, that's what's being reported to you in the annual report. It is not a comparison for net new construction value, or nor should it be compared to previous years as such. You'd want to reference the numbers that are reported to the state by our assessor's office, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but shouldn't that, because it brings in new tax dollars, shouldn't that be one of the focuses on the community development department itself to, like, shouldn't that be a goal to at least hit the state average and bring in new businesses and bring in people who are building so that we could, I mean, it's kind of a low bar to hit the state average.
Yeah, and we strive for that. You know, we try to be proactive and, you know, promoting property, land sales. We're hosting a developer tour in June to bring in developers. You know, we've got a developer engaged in some city property. At the end of the day, though, you know, you need to have an investor willing to make an investment in the community. There are a number of factors that also come into play with regards to workforce, housing, and other amenities that the community may offer. So I think it's hard to compare yourself to, or Wisconsin Rapids to surrounding communities like Stevens Point. They're a university town. They've got a much different economy. And I don't think it's an fair apples to apples comparison. That's my personal opinion, but I'd be happy to have that, you know, further conversation with you about those numbers and how we can try to improve our net new growth.
That's all I had for now. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Catna.
Thank you. I guess I would piggyback on what Patrick said, and I would just ask the question, is there anything the council can do to help the community development department reach that average state growth or get closer to it or surpass it? Is there any resources or anything that we can do to assist in helping in that area?
You know, I think aside from the normal economic development tools, it's just being supportive of projects like the Shopco redevelopment, like approving, you know, the city to apply for a CDI grant through the WEDC to cover $250,000 in costs to put on new loading docks so that they can build out that space, that 100,000 square feet, to 4 tenants. That's a good example of council support. We're still waiting to hear from the WEDC on that grant. But I'll reference Metalco. You know, that was when we landed a big fish and we structured a developer agreement that offered a very good incentive and ultimately made us competitive in the market with other communities. While those big fish are pretty rare to land, I think, you know, supporting other programs, incentives that can spark growth, like Rapids Rediscovered, that may be in front of you in about a month or so for some tweaks because nobody's taken advantage of that program. So I think just, you know, thinking about, you know, like historic preservation. Council has approved the adoption of historic preservation to hopefully allow businesses to access, historic businesses to access 40% tax credits if they're identified within a historic district. So I think council has done a good job, but I would say continuing to support those different programs as our department offers them to council would be of great benefit.
Thank you. And then my second question would be, how do you in the community development department feel about being both community development and code enforcement? Because they kind of contradict each other a little bit in that as you're developing, of course, you're trying to see growth and you're trying to get that moving, but code enforcement almost sometimes suppresses that. Of course, we have codes, and in that, if you could explain or talk to if you think any of the zoning code needs to be changed to help assist with this growth, and what that might be.
Yeah, I think with regard to the zoning code, I would support lessening some of the restrictions, primarily as it relates to the use table and the site plan reviews. There was a code amendment that was brought forward in 2020 in which I tried to make that a little bit smoother process to develop in the community. Ultimately, that was not moved forward. But I think, in recognizing that there are some impediments to development, such as those site plan reviews for an addition, like a Culver's addition that's an existing use on an existing developed property, has to go to Plan Commission. And if you're talking about schedules with contractors that are pushing them out 30 days or more, depending on what the approval process is, it can be pretty restrictive in a building season. In regards to code enforcement, I think that, there's a ton of value to have code enforcement within community development. The way I look at code enforcement is it's more so neighborhood improvement. It's much more than just driving around in a vehicle and issuing violations and tickets and citations. You need to be a good communicator. Oftentimes, you're working with local organizations for individuals that don't have the means necessary to clean up properties. You're working with the building inspectors to address certain concerns on properties that may be dilapidated or where a raise order needs to be issued. So I think having that department in our office is critical. I know there's the thought of moving it possibly over to the police department. And I feel as though that you would lose that level of communication with the public when it becomes more punitive than it does, kind of neighborhood improvement. Yeah, I guess, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you for those answers.
Not a
I
problem.
guess my thoughts on it, the question regarding community development and code enforcement is I would really like to see the community development department be that friendly business face of the city, that people are wanting to come to you and get your guidance and how to grow their business or grow their property, not necessarily the scary, this is the place I'm going to go and get told all these things I have to do that may cost money, or they're going to nick me on this project while I'm doing it. I would really like community development to be a business and resident facing department that's more welcoming than what I hear in the public, which is that it can be more of a strain. And I think a lot of it might have to do with the code enforcement. That's my opinion. Obviously, that's up to the rest of the council to take that up. But yeah, thank you for your feedback.
Sure.
I'll withhold my comments on code enforcement. Any other questions for Kyle? Somebody like to recognize Josh? All right, Josh, please state your name.
There we go. My name is Joshua Shu. I live here in Wisconsin Rapids, and what else do you need to know?
Just fire your question away.
All right. It's not so much a question, it's something I've realized while listening to you guys. I've come to realize that in order to have growth of any kind for our city, we need to make sure that the people who live here are first safe from whatever and whoever may come our way. Once we prioritize that, new doors will open to us. I'm not sure what you guys think, but that's all I got.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, we can move on to item 12, which is a public hearing and action on a request from Emmanuel Lutheran Church and School for an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, specifically map 7-2, future land use map, to reclassify an unaddressed parcel at the northeastern intersection of 24th Street South and County Highway W, parcel ID 3409225, and a portion of 1501 24th Street South, parcel ID 3409200, from commercial land use classification to governmental public institutional land use classification. As in the past, I'll have Mr. Kearns give a brief overview, and then we'll open in the public hearing. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So typically, these public hearings occur at Plan Commission, but because this is a statutorial 30-day notice requirement, it's at Common Council. So when we receive applications, typically, we do so 3 weeks prior to a meeting, but with that 30-day posting required by the state, it had to bump this public hearing out to council. Ultimately, there are several things that hinge on this comprehensive plan amendment with regards to Emmanuel Lutheran Church's rezone request, if you were at Plan Commission or read the Plan Commission minutes, as well as their conditional use permit to operate a church and civic center. This property is just east of the Home Depot, and it's a pretty large acre site, which also involves lot reconfiguration. So they're looking to reconfigure some of the lot to make it, it's currently 2 lots, to just create a larger lot for this development and then save the northern portion for future development. With that being said, you'll find staff reports in the Plan Commission agenda, and staff are recommending approval of all those items, including the comprehensive plan amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. It's 6:38 PM, so we can open up the public hearing. I'll start with anybody that wishes, I'll call 3 times. Anybody wish to speak in favor of the request? For a second time, does anybody wish to speak in favor of the request? And for a third and final time, does anybody wish to speak in favor of the request? All right, for the first time, does anybody wish to speak against the request? And for a second time, does anybody wish to speak against the request? And for a third and final time, does anybody wish to speak against the request? Okay, we can close the public hearing at 6:39 PM. Common Council, do you have any questions? Yeah, Jonathan, do you have any desire to speak about the project, or you think? I'm sorry, I know you, so that's why I called you out. If you had somebody else that wanted to, they. No. Go ahead, thank you.
My name is Jonathan Bloom. I'm the facility administrator for Emmanuel Lutheran Church and School here in Wisconsin Rapids. We do thank you for hearing us this evening, and we thank the Planning Commission, and we've had a very good experience moving this project forward. We look for, this is our church phase of a project, and we're looking forward to implementing that for the community, redeveloping then the land that we currently have. So that's something that we feel is a good value not only to us, but will be in the end of a good value to the community as well. And if you have any questions, our architect Pete Schneider is here as well tonight, and we will be able to answer those.
Sounds good. Jake?
Thank you. Sir, if you could, I do have a couple questions. I think this is exciting for Emmanuel and the community. I guess for those watching and myself, I've seen the sign by Home Depot for a long time. You guys are gonna start developing and building that into a church and school, or a church?
Well, the plans before you that you're looking at tonight would be our what we call our phase 1, which is a church and the what we're calling a mission center right next door to the church, 2 parts of the same property. Our goal is to have a phase 2 eventually, where we would move our existing school from where it is out to this site and have one combined building, and then redevelop the property where our current school is into something useful for the community.
Good to know. Yeah, I'm just giving you an opportunity to speak in the public floor, because those
Absolutely.
watching might not have this document in front of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Jonathan or the architect? Yeah, looks like a great project. What are your wishes? Oh, sorry. Mr. Catnow, your motion is to,
My motion is to approve the plans. Do you need me to?
yeah, the clerk, well, it's part of, we like to have the motion outlined now.
Okay, well,
So it's to approve the amendment to the comprehensive plan.
I motion to approve the amendment to the comprehensive plan.
Perfect. And we have a second from Mr. Austin, who was at Plan Commission. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. And that motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item 13. Since we have Kyle here, we consider the adoption of the action of the Plan Commission at its meeting held April 3rd. Do you want to give us an overview?
So again, this would include the action the minutes from Plan Commission. They also recommended approval of the conditional use. This would include the acceptance of the dedication on the CSM for this project, the dedication of road along Highway W. It also includes the rezoning of the property to I-1 Institutional District. And lastly, it includes a conditional use permit to establish a worship center and a civic use facility on the property. Lastly, the minutes also included an amendment to the zoning ordinance, specifically the land use table, to allow single-family as a permitted use within the R3 multifamily medium-density district.
Thank you. Thank you. What are your wishes on the Plan Commission report?
Motion to approve the report?
Thank you, Mr. Austin, and a second by Mr. Bemke. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, please cast your ballots. And that motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item 14, which is adjournment. We have a motion by Tom. We can do voice. Okay, we got a motion by Tom, second by Zacher. Please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Thank you.